So hey, we need to kind of talk. Um, so I gave an update quite a while back, talking about how I was hoping to do my Alaska trip and everything, and well, that fell through this year. Mainly due to the fact that Canada is kind of well, you know what? I'm not going to jump in on Canada bashing because that'd take forever. But anyway, Canada's border didn't open up in time. I couldn't reschedule, so here we are at home. About a month after I was supposed to go do that, and well, some stuff has changed. And, you know, when it comes down to it, you know, like I know I'm supposed to take my Harley out to Canada and up to Alaska and everything. And, well, the Harley's a great bike, and I liked it a lot. And I said I'd never sell it, but, every once in a while, you kind of need to swap up. So, it came time to, get something different and move on a little bit. So, I bought this. And the main reason I bought this is, well, if I'm going to be riding a bike long distances or something, it seemed a good idea to get a bike that's made to ride long distances. And if nothing else, I like moving the goalposts on myself and kicking my own legs out from underneath of me and making it where I'm unbalanced and don't really know what the hell's going on, even though I'm the one doing the things. And this doesn't just apply to me. It applies to my wife, too. She has no idea why the heck I did any of the stuff that I've done recently. And, yeah, I have some answers, but, yeah. So, as you may know, you know, I ride motorcycles a lot, even when I'm not taking long-ass dumb trips to godforsaken places, all over the globe, like San Diego. And, yeah, when something like that doesn't work out, well, you got to find some other way of torturing yourself. So, I decided that, kind of a way to move the goalpost is to, well, get a new goal. Since I can't do my Alaska trip, what am I going to do? So I bought this, and this is a nice bike. It's a 1986 Adventure Royale. I'll give those of you a moment to apologize for thinking this is a Honda Goldwing. How dare you? That's awful, and you should feel bad. Because it's not. Of course it's gold, because of course it is. And this is the quintessential, old guy bike. So, and I mean, it's the most 80s thing I've ever seen in my life. It is awesome. It's just, look at it. Look at that gold, just beauty. It was all there when I first bought it, and it's still around. All of it's still in the area. But instead of a flat 4-cylinder, it's got a V-twin in it. Or not a V-twin. A V4. It's water-cooled. And it is not fuel injected. It actually has 4 carburetors. So what's this bike for? What did I buy it for since I can't go to Alaska right now? Well, I'm going to go to Alaska eventually. Hopefully next year, if COVID doesn't shut everything down and everything gets back to some semblance of normal. The Alaska trip is still on. Nothing's changed there. But, I got to have something to do. So getting this thing up and running is in the cards, I paid $800 for this. The starter's bad on it, and the carbs are all shot. So I was initially going to rebuild the carburetors and ripped into them and found out that I don't want to rebuild the carburetors. The carbs are pretty well shot. So I'm normal person would maybe buy a whole new set of carburetors and rebuild those maybe, or buy a whole new set that's already been rebuilt. What I've decided to do is they have what they call a carb conversion kit where you actually put on, it's sort of a spidery looking intake that fits down where the carburetors would normally sit. And then it has a single intake up at the top that you can put a carburetor on. And then you run it off of a single like Volkswagen carburetor. Sort of like a Harley system actually. It's a lot easier to tune because you're not trying to synchronize 4 separate carburetors. It is better because you don't have 4 separate linkages. You don't have to synchronize anything. It's all a lot easier. And for what I plan on doing with this bike, that's important. Because in spite of the fact that I'm not going to Alaska, I do want to do something sort of motorcycle related throughout the year. And I just thought it up to myself, hey, why don't I see if I can ride a motorcycle to work every day for a year? Why not? Sounds fun. So that's the bike I'm going to do it with, if I can get it up and running reasonably well. Now, the deal with this is I'm going to ride a bike to work. Not necessarily this bike, because every once in a while I like to switch it up. I still got my sport bike, and, I still have a dirt bike. I mean, there's part of it right there. So, and, my wife was kind of confused. She's like, why do you need a whole new bike for this? That's ridiculous. You have 3 motorcycles already. And, yeah, if I'm going to ride to work every day for a year, I want some storage space. I want some truck space. I want basically like a car. And in spite of the fact that Honda made a motorcycle that was specifically built after a car called a Pacific Coast, I wanted something a little bit different. And Hondas are awesome and all. And they make Harleys that are good for this kind of thing too. But this is shaft drive. It's water cooled. It's got tons of boxes and trunk space. And it's got a radio that doesn't work. It's got a air ride system that doesn't work. And yeah. But it's not overly complicated. It's all there. It's all in pretty decent shape. It could use some new tires. It's got Metzeler ME880s on it, so those aren't bad. I'm sure somebody out there just went, Metzeler, but screw you. They're kind of weather cracked anyway, so we'll see what we can do with those. I don't know if we're going to keep them or not. I doubt we will. But this thing is what I'm going to try to do that with. And I don't need the radio. I don't need the air ride system. It's all just, it all came with the bike. I really don't care. Now, for those of you that don't know, obviously, certain motorcycles do certain things. Like I said, this is not a venture tourer. This is a tourer. It's made to ride long distances. My Harley, my sport bike, for example, it's made to go fast. The Harley, made to tool around town, cruise back and forth to work, come home, put it in the garage for a few days. It's good. So, in spite of the fact that I do ride my Harley, or in spite of the fact that I did ride my Harley all the way to San Diego and stuff, that's not exactly what it's for. Mine was a cruiser, it was just made to cruise around town. It wasn't a touring bike. So, it wasn't optimally designed. Now, having said that, I've taken my first 3 trips on what I'm calling my tattoo tour all of a sudden. I mean, literally just as of right now. Take my first 3 trips on a Harley. So there's no way in hell I'm going to finish all 3 of those trips without my Harley. So, which is why it's sitting right there. But if I'm going to ride every day to work, I need something that is reliable, doesn't take a lot of maintenance, isn't going to shake itself apart. That's this guy. Okay? The Harley is awesome for one long blast somewhere. It is not awesome for get up every day, get on, ride, put it away, get up, ride, get up, ride, get up, ride, get up, ride for however many days over the course of a year. Now, when I say over the course of a year, I mean from if I get this thing up and running January 1st, I'm going to ride it till January 1st. I don't mean I'm going to ride it 365 days. No, it's just every day to work, every day that I work for a year. If I don't go to work, I don't ride my bike. If I decide to get up and ride the sport bike to work, I'm riding a bike to work. I'm riding a motorcycle to work. If it's 12 degrees, I'm riding a bike to work. If it's snowing, we'll see. I'm going to ride a bike to work. Not necessarily that bike. After this one's done, I'm going to have to track down the rest of that guy there and possibly get it running. So if it snows super bad, I got something that's made to work in the snow decently well. And I'll admit, I realize that does not inspire a lot of confidence. But that bike is, that one, out of all of them, that one's kind of special to me for reasons I'm not going to get into. So, yeah. But I want it done pretty well. But anyway, so yeah, this guy here, I'm going to work on it, fix it up pretty good. Not get it up into perfect shape because it's made to use. Like all my bikes, they're made to use. And except for the dirt bike, which, it'll be made to use too, but just differently. But anyway, this thing, if you feel like having a good time, look up a 1986 Venture Royale. They're interesting motorcycles. They use, they're kind of weird in that they don't gravity feed their fuel. They have a fuel pump in them. They don't, I don't know, I'll let you look it up. I mean, they're interesting. If I'm honest, I bought it 90% for the name and the look of the thing. I mean, it's a 1986 Venture Royale and it's gold. I mean, I mean, it's when you hear that name, you're like, yeah, that's what would turn up is a cheap, plasticky, gold-plated thing. So, yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's what's going on right now. Hopefully someday you'll be getting an update on the Harley and I mean, there's nothing to update. It runs, it drives, perfectly reliable bike, provided you don't ask too much of it. But when it comes down to this big dude back here, I'll kind of try to give you updates whenever I fix something on it or work on something. Because right now, the starter's bad on it, and the carburetors are currently laying on my work table right there. I ripped them apart. I was going to rebuild them. I even bought the rebuild kits, but when I started getting into them, I realized these are going to take an insane amount of work. And even once they're done, they need to be synchronized. They need to be mounted up and properly, adjusted and everything on the bike. And even once that's done, then it's going to take more maintenance to keep them synchronized and keep them operating properly. And if I'm going to be riding this thing every day, I don't want to be having to do that. So, like I said, I bought a conversion kit and a carburetor. Whenever that arrives, I'll show you. I may show you whenever I put on the new starter, but I doubt it because it's going to be a pain in the butt because believe it or not, the starter is like right there. And it seems like it would be hard to get to, and it's going to be hard to get to. So I'm going to have to probably take off the radiator and the exhaust to get to the starter, and it's just going to be a pain in the butt. So we'll see. But otherwise, she's not bad. She's got a heater, which actually just takes air and blows it off the engine onto you. You know, like I said, V4. And this is one of those deals where if it is a piece of junk, somebody put a lot of work into making me think that it wasn't. Because, like I said, between the tires being the Metzeler ME880s, they put really fresh oil in it. I mean, not fresh, like it's not perfectly clean, but fresh as in it's not black and carboned up. The coolant and radiator still looks fairly fresh. I mean, it looks like it was somebody used it and then put it away for a few years because this was last licensed in 2017, I believe. So, I don't know. We'll get her going. And, yeah, I'll give you an update again. So, like I said, we're going to get the carb kit for this. It's got a new battery in it. I've rigged up the starter. Consequently, if you ever want to test a motorcycle starter, you can see how much workspace I got right now. I need to get different storage for my bikes, I think. But if you ever want to test up a starter, what you can do, or test a starter solenoid, is hook up, I don't know if you can see this or not, hook up a jumper cable to the solenoid and the negative battery cable. Then you hook up the jumper cable to the input on the starter and then hook up to the body of the starter with the negative. Then, when you hit your starter button, it'll activate the starter like it normally would. So now I know my solenoid isn't bad. And if I hook up everything to this dude down under here, it just clicks, so the starter's bad. And so just point of interest there for you. Don't say I never taught you anything. So anyway, that's what's going on. Nothing interesting. Big old bike, big old dumb Yamaha Venture Royale. This thing is so... It's the ridiculousness of it that's getting me. I love it because it's insanely of its name. It's gold, people. It's gold. And for those of you nitpicking, like, it's more brown. Shut up. It's a Venture Royale. It's gold. It's just so dumb and big and cheap plastic, and it's just huge, and I love it. It's just the stupidest thing ever. So, yeah, I'm excited. It's just stupidly excited. And, yeah, and, I mean, everything on it, you know, short of those 5 or 6 things it needs to have to be running, work. Because I believe even the horns work. So, yeah. And the marker lights and the headlight and everything. So, yeah. It's dumb. It's just big and dumb, and I love it. You know? It's honestly, it's one of those things where somebody's like, oh, that's ugly. It's like, yeah, in its own way, it's ugly, but it's a beautiful kind of ugly. I can't make any more sense than that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so of its type. Like, whenever you think about some old man, grandpa dude riding down the road on something, it's this. I mean, right, like, from that angle, like, right there, if that was all you saw, just the upper fairing and everything, you're like, well, that's a snowmobile. Why are you riding around on a snowmobile? But then there's, like, the tire, you know? And you're like, God, that thing is huge. And you're right. It's huge. It's dumb. So, I don't know. Anyway, that's what I got going on. I'm waiting for parts again. Yeah. So that's where we're at, man. So I'll talk at you later. As soon as I get my carburetors in and maybe rip it apart a little bit to get to the starter, I'll fire this thing back up. This phone kind of sucks. This camera is the only one that's on it that works consistently. I upgraded my phone, and they sent me this turd, so I don't know what to tell you there. But anyway, like I said, I'll update you as soon as something interesting happens. Bye-bye.